Hey, it's just so Trish, and I told you earlier that I'm going to put Katie back on the Robinson curriculum, so I figured I would tell you a little bit about that. It's not one you're going to see at a homeschool convention. It's probably not one you've even heard of. I heard of it several years back, and I heard about it on the Moody radio when they were doing an interview with Art Robinson. Sorry if you got background noise, but it is middle of the day and I want this to post on time. So Art Robinson, he's a chemist out of Oregon. Him and his wife were chemists, and his wife suddenly passed. They had 6 kids, and his big thing was he didn't want to put them in the school system, and he needed something very easy. His kids were older, but one of them still hadn't learned to read yet because it was kindergarten-ish. So he's kind of had the whole gamut, and he has there's like 2 videos. I'll post a link to it when I get a chance, so they'll be down there. And one is like an hour and a half long, the other one's just an hour long. I'll post both of them. I think they're both great, and he really lays out like his thinking, his whole kind of mentality behind it, which I will say I pretty agree with. I'm on, and that's one of the reasons, and it's very much led into self-learning, which is one of the things I'm really into with using the Christian Light Education. So we are not using Christian Light Education for Katie. I'm pulling her and putting her back to Robinson curriculum because it is something that works for her and her little mind and the way it goes. So if you order Robinson curriculum, you're essentially going to get something that maybe looks like this. This is it. It's a $200 program, and you'll find other videos on it and so forth. I've had mine for a while. So what you're getting, so it's a $200 curriculum, and let's say it's everything you need for the entire school year reusable. What you're getting is a huge thing of CDs. Okay, so what comes on the CDs? And you'll find all this out. There's a lot of information. You just have to know to look, and it's under Robinson curriculum. You get the scope of study. You get an entire Bible. You get a set of encyclopedias, flashcards, and then all the books. So if you want to be cheap and you don't want to go off and spend $200, which I don't understand because it is really a good deal, and I've spent a lot more than that on curriculum that turned into garbage. But if you don't want to do that, there's book list, and you can find the book list online really easily, and then you can find almost all the books via free domain. And actually I don't pull a lot of books off of here. I tend to find mine on the free domain, but if I can't find them, I use these. I use what's on here. The big part is you're spending money for the scope and sequence. And the scope and sequence is pretty impressive. I know I haven't told you much, and we're 3 minutes in. But if you watch his videos, it gives you like 90% of the scope and sequence. When you buy the set, you get it. I'm not going to tell you that because I feel like that's kind of copyright infringement. But the reality is, to do Robinson curriculum is you do 2 hours of math, you do an hour of writing every day, and you do 2 hours of reading. That's it. So, or a page of writing, maybe not a full hour. And it doesn't start off 2 hours of each. It kind of progresses there. So in high school you're doing 5 hours, and then he is a big fan of you do it 6 days a week, and you don't do sugar, and there's no TV. So do I know this program works? Yes. I've talked about it before, that when it came to Katie, she was able to progress in her reading, and I didn't have a reading curriculum. Why? Because I was using the book list. Now our math had some more desire. Sorry about the shakiness. Our math had some more kind of desire that she needed to catch up on, and Christian Light has done a fantastic job. So she was doing, I'll get into that. So what he recommends is you do Saxon. Now everybody kind of customizes it to what fits them best. Some people find like they just do all kinds of stuff, teaching textbooks and so forth. Saxon Math is pretty impressive. Comparable, in my mind, is Christian Light Education Math. I kind of find them to be interchangeable. Sometimes if we need the Christian Light format, we use Christian Light. If we don't, we use Saxon. I've managed to go, when I bought the entire set of Saxon Math. If you watch carefully, you can pick it up on eBay. You can also pick up parts and pieces of it on Amazon in the used book section, and you'll find like Goodwill selling them. We try to stick to either first, second, or third editions. Some third editions we don't even touch, but first or second is what we try to go with. But others we go with third because that's what we can get. There is a placement test on the RobinsonCurriculum.com spot. And you can go there and you can figure out where they need to be in the book. So we did that today. She had worked previously on 5-4 and never, I think we maybe got a quarter or 20% of the way through. And we were having a lot of hiccups because there wasn't enough review of math facts, and she was not down on her math facts. So with that, we went back to Christian Light Education. There she has done fantastic honing in on her math facts. So we went back and we tested the placement test again, and this time she actually placed into 5-6. So I'm waiting. We'll get 5-6 at the end of this week because I have somebody borrowing it and they don't actually need it, so I'm getting that one back to put her in to do. I wasn't certain if I would do that or not, but I decided to go ahead and do it because she's running into her previous time in Saxon is catching her up in the Christian Light, so she's kind of having a lot of repetitive, and she's been testing out of quite a few of her workbooks, and I think I talked about that earlier. I'm not really worried about it because I've bought them. Bubba does really well on the Christian Light Education, so I don't have a desire to move him yet. For her, she's not. So with a lot of the books, I print them and I bind them, and I have videos on that if you go through my videos on how I print and bind them. One of the other things you can do, and I've had this one for a while, is if I can't stay caught up, I'll put the books here. And you can put them on PDF and you can put them on EPUB right onto this, and it works out really good. So that's kind of what I'm doing. It sounds really, really simple. So I'd call this a modified Robinson curriculum. I'm going to stick to Christian Light Education Bible. I think that's pretty darn fantastic. And I like the format of the questions and the comprehension and things like that. I'm also, for now, sticking to language arts, but when she finishes this light unit, I might go ahead and pull her off and not necessarily go to the writing a day, but there's another one I wouldn't mind her going through that we're going to try out and see if we can work through that again. And it's using Alonzo Reed. It's a book by Alonzo Reed, and it's like 100 grammar lessons or something like that. Then there's like 2 other books, and then that's all the grammar you need. And if you get that, you get it. So it's kind of a modified, but it will put her back into reading a couple hours a day, which for her will be very satisfying. She'll be very satisfied. She'll be very content doing that, and at the same time she'll actually probably have more brain function going on, and hopefully we'll have a lot less checking out. So I think that will help her a lot. Previously, when we did our modified Robinson curriculum, she did really good and she didn't have a problem checking out. We've been fighting 2 months of her mentally checking out, so it's just not engaging her as much as I wish it was. And it's easy, but at the same time, Robinson's pretty easy. And I love Robinson curriculum, but part of my issue was my kids, teaching my kids to read has been a long haul issue. And number 2 over there, my son, if I hand him a book to read, he just doesn't move forth. And he just starts checking out. He is not there yet. So until he is there, we're going to use the Christian Light curriculum. And as much as I love Robinson's mentality of this is easy, you just do it, this is discipline, blah blah blah. 1, he wasn't mom. 2, he didn't have a nursing baby. He didn't have a toddler and he didn't have a kindergartner. He might have had a kindergartner, but he didn't have the whole gamut. So he had pretty much most of his guys were growing up already, above 5 when all this went down and he started this. So he never really had to deal with when there was more under 5 or 2 or, because I talked about it the other day. It's like surviving motherhood. It's just hard when there's 2 or more children 5 and under. It takes a lot out of you. And so being able to hold them accountable from Robinson, it's a little bit hard for me because I don't have a quiet place. I don't have the ability to check to make sure that we are doing what we said we're doing. So because of that, I can trust my number 1 to do Robinson. I have a girlfriend who I recommended Robinson to, and they have been doing it for over a year and a half. We're coming up 2 years this February. Fantastic. Like, she is just blown away. She's blown away by, all he's doing is reading books, but reading good books. And just the changes that have happened in his maturity, in his ability to handle things. It's just night and day compared to what he once was by using the Robinson curriculum. And she uses it to a T. I'm not sure. She's contemplated doing some grammar and a little bit of spelling, but she hasn't decided to do so yet. So, but that's what we have going on. This is my modified Robinson curriculum. I will print a lot of my books for her, and I will start doing a video on different books that we're covering that month, probably by the month, and the first set of books she's doing. So that should work out pretty well. But that's all I have. Happy Tuesday. If you got questions, again, once I get everything uploaded, I'll add the comment, or I'll put in the comments or the description different links for this curriculum. It's been pretty amazing. I mean, again, listen to his videos. It's an hour and a half. The big part is learning how to implement, and those beginning years are hard, I think, for me. And when we try to implement it and just doing math facts and all that, it didn't work. But then I learned about, mathworksheets.com, which I remember to put that post down there too, the video I did of that, doing pop quiz. I think if I would have done that from the beginning, we would have been much better off. And we could have gone straight into Robinson curriculum. But Christian Light has been good. I feel like Christian Light is a great partner to a Robinson curriculum. But at a certain point, you got to pick one or the other. And when you're doing 100% Christian Light, sometimes it doesn't leave you time to do the reading, the intense, in-depth, wonderful reading. But it will raise their reading comprehension and their vocabulary quick, and their knowledge and their understanding. Because one of the things we've got right now going is she has an amazing sense of knowledge of history, and she can talk to you about history, but none of it comes from a textbook. It comes from this reading list. So we got to go with what works, and to keep her engaged, because I don't want her to just mentally fade out and then we spend a year or two fighting that instead of just going to what works to get her to where she needs to be. Because yes, it might not be the way you do it for college and good prep, but when she's ready to get there, she's ready to be there, she's gonna get it and make it work. So there you go, my modified Robinson curriculum. Let me know if you got any questions on any details, but definitely go check out the links I'm listing. Peace out.